Hi, I'm Jensen, and we're working out of Mojo, Rosa's kitchen today. This is our third restaurant that my mom and I opened, and I thought that on Christmas Eve we like to eat a lot of seafood because the next day we're having turkey and ham and possibly prime rib. That I'd show you how to make our Mariscos enchiladas. It's one of our favorites here at Mojo Rosa's, and it's not spicy at all, but fresh, and just stick to your ribs good on Christmas Eve. So you need a few ingredients. And again, we can do this ahead of time and just have it ready in your cooler to put together and then pop in your oven when you're ready. I've got fresh scallops, pieces, I cut them. I have little shrimp, and again, you can dice these up and make them into smaller portions. And we have fresh lump crab meat. You can get this in the can at the grocery store, but use a nice high quality lump crab meat. It makes the recipe just soar. Fresh lemon, and we're going to use Mojo's adobo. Again, you can get this in your grocery store at a Mexican mercantile. It's just an adobo flavoring, but here we make our own, and you'll soon be able to buy it on Door County Pantry. It has turmeric and garlic powder, onion powder, a little bit of tomato powder, and oregano is the secret ingredient, I think, in our adobo. So let's get started. Alright, so step one, again, we can do this 4 or 5 days ahead of time, is just to saute our fresh seafood with our lemon and our fresh butter and our adobo. So we're just going to turn on a skillet. Everything's equal, a cup, a cup, a cup. So if I was going to serve 8 or 10 people, I'd probably do 4, 4, and 4. I'd say it takes about 1/3 of a cup of meat in each enchilada. So we're going to get our pan hot, and again, use real butter. I don't use any substitutes. And we're just going to saute up our scallops. You want your pan to be hot, and then we're going to pull back the heat a little bit so we don't brown that butter. And then we're going to throw the shrimp in there. And it's okay if that happens, don't get frightened, especially at home. We're just going to cook these up. Fish takes 2 minutes to cook. Even here when I'm training my young chefs, you have to learn not to overcook anything. Shrimp is done when it turns a slight pink, and remember, once that heat gets turned off, it's still cooking. So you don't want to overcook anything because it becomes real spongy and it's not tender anymore. If you don't like to flip, just go ahead and get your spatula in there. And just move them, keep them moving. So we got that cooking. I have 1 lemon. And I'd say 1 lemon for 1 cup of each. So if we were doing this recipe, like I said, for 8 to 12 people, 4 lemons, 4 cups of meat. So we have fresh lemon in here. Cooking up with our shrimp and scallops. And now I'm going to add my adobo spice. Oh, it smells so good. Getting that flavor going. I'd say you're going to add, probably a good teaspoon to 2 teaspoons for a small batch like we're making here. Alright. And you can see that the shrimp have gotten nice and tight, and they're just turning pink, so we're going to turn the heat off. That's it. It took less than probably 2 minutes there. And now you're going to add your lump crab meat. The crab meat's ready to go. I could eat it right now, which I will. Tastes wonderful. Don't cook that with your shrimp and scallops. You want to add it in after. Otherwise, again, you just lose that yummy sweet taste, and it just gets lost. So that's step 1. You can put this in your cooler right now in a Tupperware and put it all together at a later time. Alright, step 2 is preparing our sauce for our enchiladas. Again, a cup, a cup, a cup. So we're going to put a cup of sour cream in a mixing bowl. We're going to put a cup of heavy cream in the mixing bowl. A bit of cilantro. And our adobo spice again. We're just going to whisk this up. When we make it in the restaurant, we're doing 4 to 8 cups of each ingredient. So we use a food processor. So again, if you don't want to, use your arms and a bowl, you can use your food processor right on your kitchen cabinet. But this is just putting it together nice and easy, and it doesn't take much to whisk this up. And you have to be careful when you're working with heavy cream. If you put it in your food processor, it'll mix it right to whipped cream before you know it. So if you are going to use your food processor, pulse it and do not leave it on and walk away, because all of a sudden you're going to have cilantro whipping cream. Don't know how that would go over. And exactly the consistency you want. Step 2 is done, and we're going to put this into a container and put it in our cooler again. Alright, so we're at step 3. This is something we can do 8 hours before the party. It is important that when we're working with corn tortillas that you use them while they're pliable. Corn tortillas are great, especially for those guests that are going to be gluten-free. This whole recipe was gluten-free. There's nothing in my spice pack, in my adobo pack, that has any gluten in it. So when you are picking out even your seasonings at the grocery store, you need to really look at your label if you do have guests that have food allergies of any sort. Obviously set dairy-free because we put that cream in there, but for gluten-free guests, this would be a great recipe. So we're going to get a larger skillet ready to go. You're going to need some of your household spray, pan spray. And always when you have tortillas, you want to keep them in a plastic bag, otherwise they dry out and get real brittle. So I'm going to start working with my tortillas. Got my skillet all hot. Spray one side and spray the other. You can use your fingertips. If the pan gets hot, then just turn it off. And you're just going to work this tortilla until it gets nice and pliable. I'm going to show you how to make 2 individual servings of this. But again, you can use this in your skillet at home, a nice square baking pan to make these for your guests. Or you can find some cute ramekins like we have here. I've got some boats is what they call this. You can use this for lasagna, you can use this for enchiladas, you can use it for making mini meatloafs, hot pies. So these are things that you can use at home all the time. They're a great little investment to have around. So you can see how this tortilla is getting nice and pliable. 1 tortilla down. This is probably the most consuming part of this recipe, is making your tortillas. If something happens, you have to go help your child or answer the doorbell, turn your skillet off, and again, just put plastic right over these tortillas, and you can come back and use them. They're not going to dry out anytime soon as long as you keep them nice and covered. Keep that moisture in. You know, Americans and our cheese. But actually, Olga, when we developed this menu together here at Mojo Rosa's, let me know that in Mexico they don't use too much cheese on tacos. So when we serve our tacos here, we do it traditionally, and in Oaxaca, it's just cilantro and onion. Most people don't miss the cheese, amazingly or not. So I think that's more of a American tradition, not a Hispanic tradition. Alright, so I got my 4 tortillas, because we're going to make 4 here for time's sake. But again, you can use any one of your baking pans at home to make 12, 14, 16, whatever you want to make. But we're going to make 2 individual stirrings. So I'm going to take out the 2 steps that we have done already. And again, we could have done this 3 days ago. It's not going to go bad, and you can make it when it's time for your guests to come over. So we're going to start out with our seafood mixture. And I'm just going to make little enchiladas. I'm going to put a little bit of meat in the middle. I've got my scallops, my seafood in there, my shrimp, and fresh smoked crab. Then you just roll them up, seam down. Don't worry if they crack open, because they're going to be smothered in our wonderful sauce that we made. And again, it's as big as you want to make these. Would you like to use flour tortillas? You could. Again, corn is what I think gives the flavor of the tortillas here at Mojo Rosa's with our enchiladas and our tacos. We do accommodate people that do want flour tortillas, although. 2 fit nicely in a boat. Here at the restaurant, we will do 3. But again, I've done this at home and just made a big batch of them in a nice rectangular baking dish. Alright, so we have our tortillas rolled up with our seafood. They look nice. You saw how nice and pliable those enchiladas were to work with. Or the tortillas, I'm sorry, to work with. Now we're just going to pour our wonderful cream sauce right over the top. You're going to be generous about this because the tacos will absorb everything. The corn taco shells will absorb the sauce. So like I said, that was roughly 3 cups of meat. We had a little left over, so you probably could have got 2 more out of that. And there's enough sauce here for 1 more. So I'd say that recipe did good for about 6. It's hard for me to reduce all my recipes because we're so used to making massive quantities at the restaurant. So there you have it. I don't add any cheese to the top of these, and now we're just going to stick them in the oven. Or this could go in your refrigerator until you're ready to use them. So So now we're going to pop them in our oven. As you can see, I've got a huge Blodgett old oven. It looks like it's been worn, and it has been. I'm going to pop these in. The oven right now is at about 550 degrees because I just want to heat this up. If you're going to hold these, like I said before, maybe a couple hours before you serve your guest, why don't you start it at about a 350 degree oven, and you're going to cook it for a little bit longer. So just keep an eye on it until it bubbles. And again, remember, if you're using a convection oven, which a lot of you have those at home now, just go ahead and start that 50 degrees lower. So convection oven, I do 300, and traditional oven 350. And we're going to leave it in here and check it in about 10 minutes and see how it's looking. And again, at the household level, if they're chilled, I would reduce that heat by maybe 25 degrees and go a little bit longer. Okay, so I just took the Mariscos enchiladas out of the oven. They're nice and brown around the edge and bubbly. Be careful, you want to put these on a plate. Don't put them directly on your wood table or on your tablecloth. You want to have a plate underneath it. We do have plates here that we actually serve them on. We just have these on the side, and we can just put them right on top of the plate. So you can serve them just like that. Or, what's really pretty I like to do at my house is put a nice big cutting wood board and just put them out there. But remind your guests not to touch the sides. So let them cool off a little bit, and then let them eat these wonderful Mariscos enchiladas. Happy holidays from Mojo Rosas to you. Hopefully we'll see you all soon. Merry Christmas.